I scaled my agency to 7 figures in less than 2 years, and I could not have done it without the help of Notion for my systems. And over the years of using Notion and really, in my opinion, perfecting it for the agency infrastructure, it's really allowed me to buy back my time, build a team, not have to have systems in Google Sheets on my notes section and all these different project management tools, and have everything in one place so that I can actually have the infrastructure to scale. And look, if you're looking to scale your agency, your lead gen agency, video agency, your consulting agency, whatever type of agency that you have, you will never be able to break into that 7-figure range without systems and infrastructure. Systems run the business, people run the systems. If we don't have the systems and infrastructure in order to actually scale, we're going to be on that hamster wheel consistently. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is lead gen and marketing and actually generating leads. So what I see a lot of people do is they rely on word of mouth and referrals, or maybe they're doing some marketing and they're unclear on if it's actually proving results, and it's sort of kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall and they're hoping something will stick. And the problem with this is what you're not measuring, you cannot improve. So if you want to get leads, if you want to really perfect your marketing, if you want to have a database where you can see all the activity as it pertains to marketing and eventually delegate that off of your plate and have clarity on your lead generation efforts, the first thing that we need to do is we need to develop a system in order to do that. What we built out is basically an OS for our lead generation strategies, which is our marketing. And really there's 3 different things that we are looking at. We're looking at our authority funnel, which is paid ads. We have a paid ads dashboard where we can see everything as it pertains to our paid ads with our database for data tracking, the creatives that we're doing, all that good stuff. We also have outbound marketing. So all things outbound, whether you're doing cold email or something along those lines, to build lists, to have copy and all of the SOPs associated with the copy and GPT prompts and all that good stuff. We also have the momentum campaign. Basically, this is managing our outbound, doing outbound activity, lead generation, doing reactivation campaigns in order to generate quick wins. Everything is stored in the marketing pillars so that it is organized, it is in one place, and we're not missing out on deals due to our lack of organization. In addition, we also have internal marketing. So this will be like your content, all that good stuff, literally all stored in one place. And the beautiful thing about this is what we can do is we can create dashboards from our marketing efforts. So from paid ads, for example, if I'm running paid ads and trying to generate leads, I can see how much I've spent. I can see all the leads. I can see the cost per lead. I can see how many quality leads, how many calls booked, the cost per book call, how much cash collected, all of that good stuff. So we're going to be beginning to market for our service and we want to generate more leads, whether that's outbound, whether that's ads, whether that's creating content. We need dashboards and we need systems and we need data that we can then make decisions and build from. Because if we don't have data, we won't know what we need to improve. We won't know what's getting measured, and it ends up being a mess and scattered, and our infrastructure is all over the place from the jump. So that is the first thing, which is the marketing. And it's cool to get leads. It's cool to have a bunch of leads. It's cool to generate leads. But what's important is that we're keeping track of the leads and we're doing a conceded effort to turn those leads into actual appointments. And that's why we developed a system for appointment setting. And what I see a lot of people do is, they'll get a lead, whether it's from paid ads, whether it's from a referral, whether it's from someone that they met, and it'll be in their head and they'll forget about it. Or there's no real system to optimize, to automate when, this lead comes in. These are the buckets that we need to get them to in order to get them to book a call. We miss out on a lot of deals because we're not organized. From a Notion perspective, what we did is we created an appointment setting operating system. So basically this is a dashboard for yourself. This is a dashboard for a future appointment setter or a current appointment setter, if you guys have one, where their sole mission is to organize all of the leads that you're getting at the company. So we can see how many leads that we have. We can manage the buckets. We can even open the buckets and we can make comments based off of the status of the lead, where they're at, all that sort of stuff, all with the intention to get them to book a call and then finally sign a deal. Appointment setting operating system really takes the leads and makes them into an organized space where we can then maneuver the lead and keep track of the leads so that when we are getting lead, when our marketing efforts actually work, we can funnel them into booking a call seamlessly. What I like about the appointment setting operating system is we have a menu item of all of the things that an appointment setter needs, whether it's yourself doing the appointment setting or you're hiring somebody to do appointment setting. We have the workflow of how you should actually have a conversation if you're in the direct messages messages and getting them from cold to sold, all the SOPs necessary for the appointment setter to follow, their daily winning formula, the video sales letter, lead magnets, calendar links if they're booking sales calls, end of day form, and so much more. This is the infrastructure for appointment setting that will allow you to set more appointments for your business and ultimately lead to more deals. If we do not have an operating system for managing our leads, it's going to be a mess to close deals. We need the infrastructure for our lead generation efforts so that we can successfully have the foundation to get them from cold to actually sold. But what's also cool about this too is it rolls up into a data page for the appointment setters so that we can see how many leads that we got this week, how many booked calls, how many this month that we've been able to get, calls booked by month. So when you are ready to hire somebody to do your appointment setting, you can have data and you can make decisions and you can create KPIs for them, which is going to be essential to actually scaling your agency. Now what we need to do is we need to close the leads. We need to do sales calls. We need to have infrastructure on managing. Okay, cool. If we're getting a sales call, how do I get them from cold to sold? I mean, what I see a lot when it comes to closing is, oftentimes they're like, yeah, I can meet tomorrow. Let me send you an invite. And then they send the client an invite and they show up tomorrow with zero to little expectations. Client has no idea really what they're getting into. They're not warmed up before the call. Call is basically just you explaining what it is that you do, and your close rate is really low, your show rate is really low, and you don't have a system for actually following up with people. And the problem with this whole thing is that you're not going to close more deals. People aren't going to show up. You're not going to have a system to get people from cold to sold. I mean, our close rate is high, our show rate is high because we have a system for warming people up. We have a system for ensuring that they're actually going to show up on the call, which is really important when it comes to closing deals and really your sales infrastructure. So if I go back to my OS, if I go on the left-hand side to Sales OS, what we'll be able to see here is basically our sales call monitoring. This is basically a database where all of the calls come into. If we have a calendar on Calendly or Go High Level, whatever it could be, we're automating the calendar fill out, basically the booked appointment, to this database. So if I open Will Smith, for example, and this would be automatic, guys. So this would be automatic based off of your sales call calendar. So that way you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to send calendar invites. You literally just send your calendar link and it will automatically pop on here. And then what you also see is you'll see all the columns, which indicate the questions that you would ask inside of the form from the calendar, which would automatically populate here, which is pretty dialed. In addition, you will have different boards so you can see where they're at from like a board perspective, follow-up, cancel, no-show. You'll have a cleaner view, and then you'll also be able to see all of your follow-ups and manage all of your follow-ups in one. The reason I like this is for several reasons, but mostly the UI of this and having it be all in one and the ability to get really good data from having everything inside of here. So what else I like down below is we have like an EOD form. So if you are hiring a sales team, you can literally embed the sales EOD right there. We have all the sales presentations, so you can add in your sales presentation, which we have a template for. We have all the different payment links. This is the sales operating system, the dashboard with frameworks in there. You can manage the call statuses. And if you guys do close a deal, you can basically add in the deal close date, which rolls up into data. We can make informed decisions based off of how our sales is doing. So we can see, cool, this is how much contracted revenue that we're expecting. Here's the cash collected that we've gotten. Here's our show rate. Here's the new revenue this month. Here's how many closed deals we've gotten this month, how many PIFs, how many upcoming calls, failed closes, and so much more. It gives us the clear data so that we can make informed decisions. Data is the source of truth, which will allow us to make decisions based off of the different pillars of business. What good is closing deals if your onboarding sucks? If you can't onboard a client efficiently, if the onboarding experience is horrible, it's going to set the tone for a really bad relationship. So what we do is we completely automate our onboarding, because what happens a lot of times is client will come in and like we don't know what to do when it comes to onboarding. It'll be a mess trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I need to do this. Oh, I need to remember to do this. I need to send them the contract. I need to send them this. I need to do all that sort of stuff. We've onboarded the whole process inside of Notion that it literally takes whoever closed the deal one form to send the client a contract for them to book their onboarding call, fill out the onboarding form, add them to our client operating system, send notification, add onboarding tasks, and so much more. So inside of the operating system, what I created was basically a Notion form. There's two real forms, and I'm going to go over this briefly with you guys. One is the sales intake form. So if I go to sales, if I go to sales intake form, what I'll be able to see is the sales intake form that the salesperson fills out. Once the salesperson fills this out, what's going to happen is the client's automatically going to get a contract. And once they get the contract, then they're going to be indicated to sign the contract. Once we fill out that form, they're also going to be added to our client operating system so that we can see this client is now to onboard. We just sent them a contract. We're pending the contract to be onboarded. And once they sign the contract, then what will happen is they'll get prompt to fill out an onboarding form. So inside of our map, which is where all of our databases are stored, I can go to our operations page and click on onboarding forms. And here is an onboarding form that the client then fills out. Once the client fills out the onboarding form, then they're redirected automatically via an email. Basically, I send them an email automatically from Notion that says, thanks so much for filling out your onboarding form. Next step is to book an onboarding call. And then they book an onboarding call, and that sets the tone of the relationship. And inside of our client operating system, we can literally run the onboarding call directly through here with a clear agenda and a clear script ready to rock. And it is automated. We're literally filling out one form and it's triggering all of this stuff to happen automatically without making it feel like a madhouse. Because the moment a client says yes is the moment that they're immediately going to have buyer's remorse. So on the sales page, we make sure that we have the sales intake form, we have the payment links, all that sort of stuff. And as the client is getting onboarded, what we're also doing is we're automatically assigning a task for somebody. So if I click on right here, this is an automated task. This is all of the things that the person who's onboarding the client needs to get done. So this will automatically populate based off of the sales intake form. So it'll create a task for your client success manager or whoever is responsible for onboarding. And it'll say, this is due today. This is really important. This should take your top priority. Here's everything that you need to do. So it's a task template that makes it really just a design that our team needs to follow every single time we get a new client. And this allows us to onboard more efficiently. This allows us to onboard more clients. This allows us to not have it feel overwhelming when we're onboarding people and really ultimately provide a dialed in top tier experience to our clients, which is what we all want. Next thing is client management. A lot of people, myself included, when we're managing clients, we have stuff in Google Drive, we have stuff in notes section, kind of everything is scattered in all these different apps and all these different tools. And it becomes super overwhelming because we don't know where everything is. It's not centralized, it's not systematized, and there's no real hub of client stuff that we can then reference to. So inside of the OS, what we have is we have what we call a client OS. So if I go to client OS, what we've been able to develop is client boards. So if I go to Canyon, for example, I can open up Canyon and I can see all of the information about Canyon. I can see their client portal, which we've developed a client portal that's client facing. I can see the meeting notes between me and the client. So basically, if I have a meeting with the client, I'm going to record it, and that's where you can drop all the meeting notes, contact info of the client, content approval board, contract, marketing assets, onboarding information, passwords, video editor guide. I can see all the projects that we're working on as well. I can see the meetings that are internal. If I pop this open, I can see the projects that we're working on with that client directly, automatically inside of the client portal. I can also see how many projects that we've done, how many wins, what our NPS score is for this person, and so much more. So this is really the central hub of when we close a new deal, everything goes into the client portal. So that way, when I hire somebody, when somebody comes on the team, I'm really just training them on the client portal. And if anybody's like, oh, where do I get the logos for Morton? Oh, just go to their client portal and everything is there. If the client asks, how do I see progress on what it is that you guys are doing? Just go to the portal and that will be there. And I really like the client portal too, because it shows like, you know, the data from like ads, if you guys are running ads, content ideation, all the meeting notes, their offer and notes and stuff like that. So this is client facing and really easy for them to see and maneuver and all that good stuff. So this is huge for client management and just keeping everything up to date and standardized for client management. Stores everything. Now it becomes fulfillment. I've closed the deal. I got my person inside of the client OS. Now I need to fulfill for this. How the heck do I do this? That's where we created what we call a fulfillment funnel. So oftentimes when it comes to fulfillment, everything is custom. I don't know where everything is. I'm texting people saying, hey, what's the status of this? I'm trying to organize what's the sequence of getting things done. How do I get my client from where they are to where they want to go? How do I make sure this is organized? How do I manage everything? All that sort of stuff. And the problem with this is if you don't have a system for fulfillment, you're never going to be able to hire anybody because they don't have a system to fall into. If you have a system for your fulfillment, then it becomes really easy to hire people because all they need to do is get trained on the system. So it's really important that we have the infrastructure when it comes to fulfilling, whether you're a video agency, an ad agency, a creative agency, a web agency, whatever it could be. Having a fulfillment funnel is key to staying on track, to scaling, to managing expectations, to getting more stuff done. What we've developed is the fulfillment funnel. So basically when we're starting a project for a new client, what we're doing is we're creating a project. Let's just say we're doing a retainer for Canyon. If I pop open Canyon, what will automatically populate is all of the tasks associated with that project. And now what I can do is I can create tasks for that specific project, which is for that specific client. So I'm able to assign people inside of this project so that they know what they're responsible for, what their due date is. What's also cool is you can see the progress on this. This links into the client operating system. So you can use this in the client portal so the client has very good visibility on what you guys are working on and all that good stuff. And as we scroll down, we can see all of the tasks. So if you're a video agency, this is optimized for you, where you can really funnel people from strategy to shoot, to editing, to ready to post, to send a client, and so much more. If you're more of a lead gen agency, or if you're not doing any fulfillment and it doesn't require a lot of people, then we also have a task board for that, which is most of the time just like to do and in progress. And what I also like about this is we have templates for all of the tasks. So if I open this up, I can create task templates. And inside of the task templates, I can just drag them into the task board and it will automatically associate with the client, making it seamless, making it productized, making it simple for us to fulfill for clients in an easy to follow way. And the cool thing about this, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is that from the fulfillment funnel, we can create views for each team member. So let's just say you have a client success manager, and the job of the client success manager is to make sure that the tasks are getting done from the team. This is all the tasks. Let's just say you're having a video editor and they're responsible for editing videos. Cool. Here's all of the videos that are assigned to them that they need to edit. We can assign these from the fulfillment funnel. We can create their own dashboard so that they can see exactly what they need to be doing. Let's just say you have a social media manager. We're creating boards for each person so that they have a dashboard that they're working on, which is all sourcing from the fulfillment funnel. This allows us to not only, be really dialed in with our clients, but set up our team for success and give them the infrastructure to win. Because your job as a leader is to set your team up and give them the infrastructure to absolutely smash. So no matter the role, like what we'll do from a fulfillment perspective is it'll start with the fulfillment with the project. And from there, we'll be able to create different boards for the team to make sure that they're efficiently doing it so it's not overwhelming. And again, guys, this all rolls up into data so that we can see, how many projects are complete, how many tasks are complete, how many projects we're doing, all that sort of stuff, which is really cool data to have as you guys are scaling and setting expectations with people. The next thing that I want to go over is client success. So it's one thing to get a new client to fulfill for them, but what we really want to make sure that we're doing is we're providing them with excellent experience, and we have client success systems and client success infrastructure in place so that the client renews, they keep coming back, and we increase our lifetime value, get more referrals, and ultimately provide a killer experience. Inside of the OS, what we have is we have what we call like a client success board. I'm just going to show you two different things that are super cool. One, the client success board, we can see like the wins. We can see how many wins that we've collected, how many wins this month, and our average NPS score. So these are the two things that I want to hit on. So what we do is we create a database of wins. So anytime somebody says, got my first client, or got my first client working with you, or got 100 views, or got 1,000 views, or got 1,000,000 views, all that sort of stuff. What happens often is we'll see that and we'll be like, cool, that's awesome. And it'll oftentimes go like right over our head. The problem is winning for your client is one, proof for the client, but it's also proof in marketing. So what we do is we create a habit of anytime that we get a win, we're storing those wins. We're putting them into a database. So we have a wins database where essentially when a client shares a win with us, we will add it to this database in the form of a screenshot, or if it's like a video interview or something like that, we'll store it here and we can link it with the client. So now if I go to Normatec, for example, if I pop open Normatec's client operating system, I can see that they've gotten one win. Well, it allows you to make decisions based off of client success and create KPIs for client success people in order to get this many wins per person, this many wins per month. And it's something that you can celebrate. And as a leader is a KPI that you can create for your team that we want to get X amount of wins or whatever that could be. So having a wins database and managing the client success from like a wins perspective. We also have NPS surveys. So inside of agency, the operating system, we have a form, which is basically an NPS, which is a net promoter score, which is basically asking on one scale 1 to 10, how likely you're to refer us to a business owner. And what we can do is it goes into a database. We can link it with the client, which will then roll up into their client OS. And we can see, cool, Morton's NPS score is 9. They're like a promoter. Like that's really positive. So what we'll do is we'll literally send that form out every single month to our clients to get feedback and hear where they're at. And then we'll link it to the client so that we can see how we're doing from a client perspective and all that good stuff, which is super important, super huge. So from a client success perspective, perspective, this is super, super important. We're really optimizing views for the client success manager and having tactics and systems and infrastructure to make sure that we're doing everything possible to increase the lifetime value of the clients, get renewals, and get referrals. Fulfillment, client success, getting new clients, all that stuff is really sexy. But what's really sexy is if you can get a team to work for you so that you can finally buy back your time. So the next thing that I want to talk about is hiring. What I see a lot of people do when they hire is they're going to throw somebody in the deep end. I'm going to hire somebody because they have a pulse and I need people and I'm overwhelmed. I'm out of hours to work and it's just extremely taxing right now. And I just need somebody. The problem with that is it actually is going to be a net negative because you're going to spend way more time training them, hoping that they're set up for success. And also, if you don't have infrastructure for hiring, the onboarding experience is going to be crap. Just like onboarding a new client is the most important part, onboarding a new team member is the most important part. You can either hire effectively, which is making sure you have good expectations, good KPIs, which I'll hit on a little bit right here, or you can do it the wrong way, which is I'm going to throw somebody in the deep end, don't provide them any systems, throw them in and train them as they go, and hopefully they'll survive. 9 times out of 10, if you do the latter, they're going to leave or they're going to cost you more money in your time in training them or providing a bad experience for the client. The client's going to drop off. So we need a system for hiring, which is paramount. So we have a hiring operating system where basically this is the dashboard of all things hiring. So we can see we have our daily winning formulas, which are basically daily tasks that a person needs to complete every single day that we can store. We have the role blueprints, which is basically like a job description with all of the expectations, everything lined up where we can see all the expectations of that person. We can see the job postings, like the current active postings, whether they're live, in progress, where we posted them. We can see job interviews. So if we did schedule interviews, we can literally open this up. We get a list of questions that we want to ask them, and we can just use this as a project management system essentially for job interviews. And then ultimately, when we finally hire them, we have a onboarding process. So we can open this up and we can templatize our onboarding so that when somebody does come in, it's not a mess. It's not a nightmare. We're literally just following the design that we created. This is the hiring operating system. We also have SOPs for all things hiring, which is really freaking dialed in as well. To set them up for success, one thing that we always talk about, which I just showed you, was having the infrastructure so that they actually succeed. But in order to get somebody to pop into the system, we need to make sure that we have expectations set from the jump, which is why we put such a huge emphasis on hiring and hiring the right way using our talent acquisition funnel, which is basically a design, which is built in here. The next thing that I want to talk about is SOP. So it's one thing to hire somebody and get somebody dialed in, but it's another thing to make sure that they have standard operating procedures so that they're set up for success. What I heard Dan Martell say, who talks about this a lot, one of his famous books is Buy Back Your Time. It's like, if you were to be hired by you, do you think that you would have everything in order to succeed? All the trainings, all the systems. We need to take ownership of how we're setting our team up for success. If we are hiring, if we're using this, we have the systems here, but how do we actually train them on that and make sure that they're doing it? Again, design beats willpower. If we have systems in place, then people will just follow the systems. So what we did is we developed an SOP library inside of Notion, where basically we can see everything inside of here. We can see optimizing the client portal, onboarding, sales intake form, all that sort of stuff. And we organize it by department. So we tag it by department so that we can see, cool, here's the sales one, here's the client success, here's the hiring. And we build on this to a point where our business literally has a course on the back end of trainings on how to do every single step of the process to get the clients from where they are to where they want to go. So if I open this, we like to create a Loom video, and then we'll transcribe the Loom video and make that a step-by-step process. And then we literally just store it in here with really clear steps. And rather than you having to repeat yourself or say something that's going to get lost in translation and they're going to create their own system for it, you just have them follow the design that you created. So what we want to do after we hire somebody, as we're hiring people, as we're building our business, is get in the habit of building an SOP library and having a place like this to store it. Now, we want to create OKRs. Oftentimes what happens, myself included, I'm like, oh, I have this idea. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. Especially as a founder, we can get really guilty of this, where it's like, oh, I have all these ideas. I have all these different projects I want to do. How do I get all of this done? How do I have enough time to get anything done? This is so much for me to handle. That's where OKRs come into play, which is objectives and key results. So basically what we do is we want to create projects for ourselves, objectives, and we want to create the tasks associated with those objectives. Because honestly, if you're a founder, as you scale, as you build build a team, and even your team, there's going to be tasks that aren't necessarily associated with fulfillment that you need to do. And how do you manage that? Let's just say you want to launch a marketing campaign, a new marketing campaign, or a new offer. Cool. That's not going to be associated with fulfillment. That's going to be an objective that you do. And you're going to create tasks for that objective, realistic tasks that you can follow to get that done. From a Notion perspective, we have an OKR board. We have all the objectives that we want to launch. And then what we do is we create tasks per objective. So every single quarter, every single month, whatever it is that is realistic for you, you can then create your objective and then create the tasks associated with that objective with realistic due dates that you can actually hit. And this allows us to stay on track with them. So this is rolling up to our task board so that we can see all the tasks that we need to get done associated with the projects. So if it's not something that is associated with the project, just like, onboarding stuff, or if you have a team member, that's where we also add that sort of stuff. So that our client success manager internally right now mostly uses this task board and doesn't really use the fulfillment task board. It's more so operating based off of this. And what's cool is you as a CEO, you as a founder, that's going to be your main thing, is you want to get these objectives done as fast as possible. Like you want to make sure like you're super dialed in with your objectives and key results, and your team is really dialed in. So what we have is a CEO board, which can be your board, which really manages all of the tasks, all the objectives that you're working on, because you're going to be working on the business. If you're not working more on the business right now, you're eventually going to get there because you have really good infrastructure to do it. You can see everything inside of here, which will be nice. And then also we can create views for each team member, client success manager. Like we can see all of their internal tasks as well. We can see if it's overdue, all that good stuff. As we're scaling, one of the most important things as we scale, as we build, as we're starting to hire people, as we're starting to get more clients, is making sure our finances are dialed in. What I see a lot is people just check their bank account and they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, I have this much in my bank. I'm good. They're not really in tune with all of the payments coming in. They're not really clear on like the income, the net income for each client after fees. And it can be really tricky to manage, or like you have to go in like 3 different spaces to see how much revenue that you've generated, or you're like manually calculating. Problem with that is like, we don't have that gut. Like I always say, finances, your agency finances are like the single source of truth. And what we want to do is we want to start to build our gut around our finances, because it is the single source of truth. In addition to this, you should also get like QuickBooks and make sure you have like a formal P&L. But this is a good start for you guys to have an operating system as it pertains to finances. So if I go back to my OS, I'll be able to go to my financial OS, and I'll be able to see, basically automate all of the payments that we're receiving into this task board. And then what I can do is I can say, okay, what's the processor? What was the fee? What's the income? What was the month? I can see all the invoices that are pending that go out. I can see all the subscription. I can see payroll, all the payroll that I have to do on the left-hand side. I can see some stuff as it pertains to accounting stuff. So like articles of organization, your EIN number, like your Stripe login, bookkeeping, forecast, QuickBooks, capacity sheet, all that sort of stuff, so that you have the infrastructure for scaling. Because eventually you're going to hire somebody to help with payroll, help with this sort of stuff. Maybe you're going to hire salespeople and you're going to need to pay commissions on this stuff. You want to pay commissions on actuals. So what we do is we automate all the payments into one board. We have all of our payroll in here so that we can see all of our payroll. If we have any pending invoices that were manually sent, we can track them here, which rolls up into our financial board, our financial data board, which allows us to see the performance of the actuals in real time. So we don't need to check our bank account. We don't need to do some math. We don't need to log into QuickBooks. Everything can just be in here. And this is just going to be revenue. This isn't going to be any expenses. Like this shouldn't be like a P&L. This is more just like how much revenue have we generated? And you can see like your year-to-date income, how much income this month. If there's declined payments, like that's really important because you need to follow up on it. And you can start tracking month over month through this database, which will give you really cool data over time, and you can see how you're performing and celebrate it. And it's really freaking dope because it shows your progression, your growth, assuming that you guys continue to grow. So finance data, super important in order to, have that pulse on your finances, on your growth, and see it from a point of view that is simple and all in one place using your agency operating system. And the last thing that I want to hit on is just branding. So we all know social media content, creating content for ourselves becomes the lowest priority on everybody's list, where we're like, okay, I'm going to fulfill for my clients. I need to do sales. I need to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then the last thing that is usually on our list is I need to create content for myself. So what we've done is create a design for it. So if I go to my internal marketing operating system, what we've developed is basically a snapshot of all things for your own internal marketing. So you can see this is your board. your fulfillment funnel for content for you. So if I go to planned content, I could open this up and I can say, cool, here's my content that I want to create. Here's my script, all that sort of stuff. I can see what's scheduled. I can see what's ready to post with the post date, the edit date, who's going to post it, all that sort of stuff. Literally add the content directly in here, which is nice and systematized. You can just upload it. You can write the caption if you wanted to. And what I also like is up top, we have all of the SOPs as it pertains to internal marketing, which are ChatGPT prompts, templates, all that sort of stuff that just make it easy to do. And then down below, we have a inspiration table. We can get this plugin that's called Save to Notion. And basically, if we're scrolling on Instagram, we can automatically save a post to Notion if we like it. And we can be like, oh, this is cool. I could create something like this. Or, oh, this inspired me to create content about this. We can literally just save it to the database. We can also have a database of creators that we look up to that we can start to reference as we're building this. So what we do is once a month, we'll sit here and we'll come up with 20 ideas for pieces of content. And this becomes our system for managing them. So if we pull this up, we can say, we're going to create this on the 27th. We're going to post this on the 29th, et cetera, et cetera. That is what we're doing. We're creating the design so that we can build our brand. So it's not overwhelming, but we're also prioritizing it. We also have a lot of like different templates in here for different types of content that you guys would want to create and stay super dialed and stay on track of your brand, because brand is important. Branding, creating content for yourself is a money-making activity. So that's pretty much it, guys. This was a lot of different pillars that I went through, but hopefully you were able to see how all of these work together to build the infrastructure to scale to that 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, hiring a team, building a team, doing it right, and going from, treating your business as just like a freelancer, a glorified freelancer, to an actual CEO, and having the infrastructure to build a team, having the infrastructure to have data and make informed decisions, because this is really what's going to take you to the next level and really your business to the next level. And guys, if you're seeing this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so dope, I have zero clue how to do this. This is like super overwhelming. I have no idea how to build a template like this. I have no idea how to install this inside my agency. I would encourage you to click the link down in the description to learn more about how we can help you with this. You will get the template. We can also help you install this inside of your business and make sure that it is set up so that your business will run like a smooth operating machine using the agency operating system that we have developed. And guys, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be creating a ton more content, a ton more in-depth trainings on each one of these pillars so that you can know how to use this for your agency and make sure that you're super dialed in. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you are an agency, a coach, video agency, lead gen agency, web agency, whatever that could be sure to click the link down below to learn more about how we can help you out with this. If not, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.